Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. And I want to just mention to Dr. Cheek that I'm one of those interdisciplinary PhDs from many years ago. And I believe in the process, and I applaud you and University of Tennessee for the great work you're doing in that area. I also wanted to take just a moment of personal privilege to thank the people that really have helped me over the last several months, and I think helped many of you. And there are some names attached, so I'm just going to say this. Barbara, Nicola, Marion, Mariana, and the whole tech team. I have to tell you that I put on a lot of major projects over many years, and you've been doing a fabulous job. I just wanted to thank you personally for the work that you've done on behalf of all of us. I think it's a terrific opportunity. Well, I'm going to take you to the other end of the spectrum of higher education and not speak about PhDs and not speak about the levels of research that we've been discussing, which is absolutely important to our endeavor, but to talk to you a little bit about those students that come at the other end of the spectrum, those that walk in the door perhaps unsure of themselves, perhaps won't make it, come from backgrounds that are low socioeconomic status, underrepresented populations, first-generation students whose mother or father, nor any parent or any friend has ever gone to college. I'm talking about an institution, the University of Central Oklahoma, which serves Oklahoma City for the last 127 years, is really responsible for the training and developing of the people who will be part of Oklahoma society for the next many years. So there's a very grassroots dimension to the work that we do. And it's in that regard that we focused on three issues or three challenges. We were concerned about what happens in the classroom and the quality of teaching. With neuroscience and cognitive psychology and decades of research into effective institutional practice, there doesn't seem to be any reason for us to continue to have inadequate practice in terms of teaching. We also were concerned about employer surveys, which indicate that recent graduates often do not possess the needed beyond-disciplinary skills to succeed in the workplace. And third, very interested in the issue of graduates being ready and motivated to solve those challenges that they're going to be facing, looking at creativity and not simply consumption. 21st century society, no matter where you live, what country or culture, it needs college graduates to solve the big issues. Environmental sustainability, the have and have not divide, graft in government, infrastructure building, improvement, et cetera. If these college graduates aren't going to do it, then who will? They're responsible for the future that we are passing on to them. And this quote from our colleague from Ghana, who worked for a long time in the United States in high tech and went back to Ghana to form the university there, I think encapsulates some of the message and the spirit here, is that really you can't just graduate and follow directions, you also have a broader responsibility. Which brings us to STLR, S-T-L-R. I know the spelling, it's an acronym, not an exact spelling, but it's a process that UCO has developed to implement beyond-discipline learning into its curriculum and its co-curriculum in order to graduate and measure student learning in this area, to assess how well students are learning in these beyond-disciplinary skills, how well we are doing in helping them achieve these skills. STLR has faculty and staff using authentic assessment practices to measure student achievement against a set of rubrics that were built from AAC&U's value rubrics. And those rubrics are very helpful to us in terms of laying out what it is we are hoping to achieve and accomplish. So STLR tracks the students and their progress via a mobile app, and it produces a STLR achievement record and an e-portfolio as part of the process. So transformative learning is at the center of what STLR is about. We believe transformative learning includes, obviously there could be other dimensions, the beyond discipline skills and the ability to expand a student's perspective of their relationships to themselves, to others, to the community, and to their environment. So this is STLR. And STLR is built on the University of Central Oklahoma's central 6 tenets. They include discipline knowledge, which is given, global and cultural competencies, health and wellness, leadership, research, creative and scholarly activities, service learning, and civic engagement. Please understand that these various tenets existed prior to STLR, and they in fact are embedded and really grew out of our mission, our vision, and our values that we've worked on off and on since 1999. So this is not like a new opportunity. As a matter of fact, we have presented about STLR and its evolution here at IAUP in Jamaica and also in Yokohama, and appreciated the comments that I've had back from many of you in that regard. And over time, we have been very encouraged by the response we have received, and list here some of the interactions we've been having. I think one of the major turning points for us was when the U.S. Government Department of Education Title III grant for $7.8 million was awarded for 2014, including a $1 million endowment, asking us to please continue the work after the 5 years ended because they thought the work was potentially relevant. Became involved with the Gates Foundation Evidence for Student Learning Task Force on their request, and the Lumina Foundation's Comprehensive Student Grant Record. All of this has been very useful to us as we proceeded, very encouraging, as we say. Other institutions have also found us. I think they're scanning the environment, trying to figure out how to deal with these, what we call soft, non-cognitive, student success or 21st century skills. And so you can see some of the institutions that have adopted or adapted STLR in their particular areas. Out of it has come a Transformative Learning International Collaborative that has started because institutions are looking for some answers and how it can be operationalized. So here you see an example. I think I have one more slide to show you this. Yes. You can see that this spreads out across the area. The institution, university, and I apologize for the mispronunciation, but Universidade Presbiteriana Mackenzie in Brazil, their postdoc student will be coming to us for almost an entire year. She wants to study TL and the operationalizing of STLR, so we look forward to having her with us. So there should be a video at this point to talk a little bit about STLR.
It's an exciting
Do I need to activate that?
The University of Central Oklahoma. At Central, you'll hear a lot about transformative learning and the STLR program. That's STLR.
What this video would tell you.
It stands for
in the words of the
Student
students.
Transformative Learning
Oh, here it
Record.
goes. Good.
STLR is like a second transcript that showcases
Sound?
all of your transformative learning experiences. So, what exactly is transformative learning? Look anywhere on campus and you'll see it in action.
This emphasis on transformative learning has helped me to broaden my scope to think about, I'm not just teaching chemistry, but I'm really trying to prepare students to be lifelong learners, to be successful in a number of different areas. And I'm assessing their progress using the STLR rubrics.
This involves class assignments, collaborative research, or campus events. What you're involved in on campus, STLR measures and records our transformation with UCO's 6 tenets in mind. The central 6 are the core values that define the mission and culture on campus. Things like global competency, health, leadership, scholarly activities, and service learning. I was one of hundreds of student volunteers at the big event day of service and swiped in with my UCO ID card for STLR. You could even propose your own STLR project and, if approved, earn money as part of the experience. So, how do we keep track of all of our STLR credits? It's actually really easy. Just go to D2L, that's the Desire to Learn site. The My Dashboard keeps track of our progress with STLR. The D2L e-portfolio allows us to compile all of our STLR work. Think of this as a place to build an enhanced resume. Everything we store here can be shared with professors, classmates, even with potential employers. Just share the links. It's all about transformative learning.
So returning to the 3 challenges I cited just a few moments ago that we've identified in higher education in the 21st century, I'd like to come back to the first one and speak to you a little bit about effective instructional practice and better student learning. The faculty and staff receive training in, as you can see here, in defining transformative learning experiences. They also learn how to associate the tenets with existing assignments, and they use rubrics to authentically assess the student achievement. This is both curriculum and non-curriculum, and one of the innovations that I've been told by my colleagues around the country and beyond is that the fact that we have both the academic and non-academic sides of the house, the curriculum and the co-curriculum working together, is really encapsulating a much more effective overview of what learning is actually occurring at the institution and among our students. And here we can also see better student learning. These are some graphs, and I have a handout if you want it, but these are some graphs that show you that even among our target populations, underrepresented, first generation, low socioeconomic status, the introduction of these opportunities to apply STELR, in other words, for them to have these experiences that are codified, evaluated, that they produce artifacts that show that they've in fact been learning something in the process, has really and very positively impacted in the first days of the demonstration of the data. It's demonstrating, as you can see, we have 1,500 students that are there, that this is moving in the direction that we had hoped for. We find it encouraging. The same way with retention. The idea that students are able to proceed, and retention is an issue at many of our institutions, and this has really been useful for us, particularly among those target populations of families who haven't had a lot of experience in higher education. The second major area of concern had to do with content knowledge and beyond disciplinary skills. Now, this is a summary of a very important study that was done a couple of years ago. 5,000 hiring managers at 312 businesses, nonprofits, organizations, and institutions hired 20,000 plus new employees during that time. And what we found, and what they found, and what we continue to find in the work that we're doing, is that people don't lose their jobs because they don't know how to do the job. They have the technical competence, but you can see on this graph, it ranks 5th of the reasons why people fail to relate and to succeed. Coachability, emotional intelligence, motivation, temperament. We believe, based on our work, that STELR helps develop these particular areas. For example, in research, creative and scholarly activities, that tenet helps a student develop their coachability skills. They have to work with faculty mentors outside of class, take direction, plus work as mentees who are coached in a more professional understanding of the discipline. Under global and cultural competencies, they learn to develop their emotional intelligence as they have to develop and hone social skills for cultural interaction and perspective. And of course, leadership, which is a strong dimension of our institution, is a tenet that helps develop, among other things, motivation. Leaders must motivate themselves and others in order to be successful. I think the feedback, the response we have had from industry has been particularly helpful to us. We've been working with the STELR Employment Advisory Board for 3 years now, 18 members, and they've changed, a few have changed now and then, representing a wide variety of major employers in the Oklahoma City region. The board members, and I'll use their term, love STELR. Why? They say it really is needed for them to provide the information that is not on the academic transcript. The board has been invaluable to us in providing input about STELR ePortfolio and the comprehensive student record, which I'll be talking about here in a moment. And then the latest turn for us, and I think perhaps the most engaging and perhaps far-reaching, is that AT&T International has become interested in STELR. And they, of course, know exactly what beyond disciplinary skills they need in their employees, which they hire 35,000 per year. They're going to partner with UCO over the next 18 months out of their international headquarters in Dallas, Texas, to field test STELR by selecting a number of what we call STELRized graduates and also rising seniors for internships to ensure that across the full range of STELR development, the specific skills needed in each job category are included in how STELR prepares students. So AT&T will place these grads as new hires and the rising seniors as interns directly into their corporate leadership programs. And I'm looking forward to talking to you about that, because if it turns out to be in the direction that both AT&T and UCO seem to indicate, we may have much more of the story as time goes by. The third major area is about graduates ready and motivated to solve societal challenges and who want to create and not simply consume. And what you have here is a picture of page 1 of a student's stellar achievement record. Everything that shows up on this record has been vetted by the university and carries a stamp of approval of our registrar. However, students are able to customize the achievement record in order to highlight themselves to best advantage, much like they would do in customizing a resume or a cover letter. However, there's an abstract version of all the stellar rubrics, the standards that are on the back of each tenet of each of the achievement records so that the employer understands on what basis they are being reviewed and recommended. And then, of course, in the capstone course, each student prepares their stellar e-portfolio. But because the students have pushed their stellar learning artifacts through the system from the beginning, and plus the fact that the rubric used to assess is evident, and plus the fact that faculty are rating the achievement into their portfolios throughout their undergraduate careers, all of this information is at hand in the capstone course to help students build a strong professional presentation of self and employers to their employers and also to graduate school. When it comes time for graduation, we are celebrating them, and the numbers are growing now because we have more stellar graduates with honor cords and a ceremony with their families. There's a great deal of pride in the process. So our overview at this point is that we believe that we're encouraged. We believe that the benefits of teaching and learning in this way are working, that our students are benefiting, employers are benefiting, that we have a growing group of colleagues nationally and locally that have a strong interest in this beyond disciplinary learning. And one last comment I'd like to leave you with. There is, you see the name of Jeff King. He is the director of our Kettle program, which includes Stellar and easily reachable. I wanted to also tell you that for those of you that have any interest at all in this, I have a one-page handout I'd be glad to leave with you. And lastly, although we're not an emphasis on graduate research, we are in fact really well known for undergraduate research. Part of our high impact practice ties into Stellar. And in April of 2018, we will be hosting the National Conference on Undergraduate Research in the United States in April. And we would love to have you in Edmond and Oklahoma City for that prospect. Thank you very much. I'm open to questions.
Congratulations, great presentation. My name is Manuel Olave. I'm president of the Bolivian Private University. I was fascinated by Stellar. It's an approach that we're using, similar, and I really like to participate in your program. But I'd like to comment, what's your opinion of this type of emphasis on training compared to the online training? You know, because we're always on this disjunctive of what do we go? If we go for the online training, you certainly cannot do this. It seemed like there are two different paths. I would like your comment on that.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Actually, we have a great deal of online learning just like you do, and we've actually adopted as an archetype for our institution a blended learning format where we use a great deal of online but do a great deal face-to-face because our data shows us that students learn better, more consistently, and in a more lasting way with this kind of development. I see no incompatibility at all. It's just a question of balance.
Don, I just want to congratulate you for the excellent innovation that you are doing at your university. And I hope to visit you and to know better about what you are doing, because you are a leader in this area of transformative learning.